Today we're going to take you through more advanced programming for the clients that you want to progress onto more difficult, more high intensity based programs. Again, we want to remind you of our rules of writing gym programs. The program must be balanced. Always focus on using larger muscle groups first. Make sure that we got great technique. We focus on developing a full range of movement. We try and make our exercises functional to the person's everyday life. When we're teaching the exercise, only focus on a couple of teaching points. We want to review our program every 6 to 8 weeks. Ensure we have adequate time to recover in between workouts. We always want to be teaching progressive overload. Get the client to record what they're doing so you can monitor their results and explain what's going on if they're not getting results. And always construct these programs to meet your client's needs. Today what we're going to do is focus on our advanced clients. These tend to be people who have more experience in the gym. My suggestion would be this would be someone who's potentially been going to the gym for at least a year or two, and they are wanting to work at a little bit higher level of intensity and take their gym program to the next level. People can get results doing intermediate and beginner templates. They can get really good results by just increasing the intensity and also increasing the complexity of exercises. So let's have a look at the characteristics of advanced programming. Remember, we always want to have a program balanced, and I've spoken about this over and over and over again. So please ensure in your assessments that you do, your programs are balanced. Otherwise, you'll just be giving them back. You need to meet your client's needs. Now, the great thing about advanced programming is you can design full body programs or split programs. And when you split up the body, you can split it 2, 3, or 5 days a week. You can select pretty much any exercises you want, whether they be compound or isolation exercises, and you can start to play around with the intensity levels that they're working at. So you're going to be able to offer them sub-maximal, maximal, and super-maximal training based on their goals. Now, because this person is an advanced person, you've gone through a process of deciding that their body is able to handle this higher level of intensity and these more complex exercises. If you can't justify that, then take them back onto an intermediate template or a beginner template so that you can make sure that you can justify this jump into these more advanced programs. Don't be in any hurry to put a client on a split program. You can get great results with a client training a full body program 2 or 3 times a week. If you decide to actually put a client on a split program, you need to ensure that the split program actually fits their lifestyle in the number of times a week that they can train. So let's have a look here. When we're looking at the exercise selection for advanced programs, we want to pick more advanced exercises. So what should have happened is we should have taken a client through this type of progression of exercises where they've gone from a seated pin-loaded chest press to a barbell bench press, and now we're taking them to a dumbbell press. This is going from the easiest, most beginner type exercises to a more advanced exercise that requires more stability, more neural control. Same here, we've gone from a wide grip lat pull down to assisted chin to a chin up. Simple to more complex. Some people may never get here. There is no reason why you can't be giving clients in an advanced program this exercise as you move them towards this if that's their goal. Reverse grip lat pull down into a reverse grip chin up. We've got a body weight squat or a fitball squat, moving to a dumbbell squat, moving to a barbell squat or uneven weighted squats. You can take them from a 90-degree leg press to a 45-degree leg press to then a single leg 45-degree leg press. Again, we've all machines here, but the stability and the stabilization and the recruitment here is much greater than in here. We could take them from a wall or a bench push-up to a push-up on their knees, up into a push-up on their toes or clap push-ups. We could do unstable push-ups on a BOSU or on a basketball. So you can see just by changing the selection of the exercises here, you can actually increase the intensity or the level of complexity of the program. So let's have a look at a full body advanced program using sub-maximal techniques. So this is just sets and reps where a client is training at an advanced level but not training to failure. So we start them on a cross trainer and we warm them up there, and then we're taking them through 1 to 3 sets with 8 to 12 reps. So this program is a growth program. The client's going to do barbell squats followed by a leg press. Then they're going to do chin-ups with a prone fly. Then they're going to do a dumbbell bench press followed by incline flies. Then we've got crunches and a back extension. So you can see here we've got 2 leg exercises. Now leg exercises, antagonist and agonist, will balance themselves. In the inner squat, you use your quadriceps at your knees and you use your hamstrings and your glutes at your hip, and hence we have a balance there within itself. We have a compound back exercise and an isolated back exercise. We have a compound chest exercise and an isolated chest exercise. So these 2 exercises are balanced out by these 2 exercises. We then have crunches and a back extension, so hence we have agonist-antagonist balance there. You'll notice here this is a full body program, and working at reps of 8 to 12 with an intensity of 7 through to 9, this would be quite a hard workout for a person to do. And if they did this 2 to 3 times a week, the person would get really, really good results. And of course, you don't want to forget your stretches at the end of your workout. Always teaching clients to do their stretching. We may decide to take this full body workout to the next level and look at super maximal training. We're going to increase our reps a little bit here. So we're going to take them into 12 to 15. We start the person off with a leg press and a dumbbell squat, and we're going to get them to superset that. So they do leg press, 12 to 15 repetitions, trying to get to complete failure, which is a hard thing to do on a leg press, because if you get to complete failure on a leg press, it means the leg press is actually collapsed on you. And then you get them straight off the leg press and move them straight into a dumbbell squat without giving them a rest. This is a good transition because it's extremely dangerous to hit momentary muscular failure on a leg press unless it's like a pin-loaded leg press, but you can certainly hit momentary muscular failure on a dumbbell squat. We'll then get the person to do a drop set, a triple drop set, so that's 3 drops on a lat pull down, followed by prone flies. We'll get the person then to do a pre-fatigue chest exercise, where we get them to do dumbbell flies till complete failure, picking a weight that will actually get them to fail in this rep range. And then once they've failed that, we take them straight into the incline bench press. This is a really good way of getting a good chest workout, because the dumbbell flies will pre-fatigue the chest, so that when we're doing the dumbbell bench press, our chest is having to work hard and our arms are no longer our limiting factor, and we're getting 100% activation from the chest. At the end, we then give them a prone bridge for a little bit of core, and then we obviously give them stretches as well. So this program here is a full body program, but it's working at this higher level of intensity through super maximal techniques of supersets, drop sets, and pre-fatigue. If you were doing this with a client, you may get them to do it twice a week, and then you could potentially do that for 3 or 4 weeks, and then you maybe take them into... Okay, so what we could do is take them into this program where we do a sub-maximal program for 4 or 5 weeks, and then we could take them back into the higher intensity program utilizing our super maximal techniques. Once again, you can see that there's not a lot of difference between the exercises here and the exercises here. They're still the same movement patterns, but the intensity is much greater. Now, a lot of advanced programs split the body up. The reason people do this is so that they can increase the intensity and the volume on specific parts of the body by breaking the body down into different workouts. So you can split your body up into different workouts in so many different ways. You can do push-pull programs. You can do upper body, lower bodies. You can break them up into programs where you're doing legs one day, chest the other, and back the other, then arms. How you split the body up is totally dependent on the goals the person wants to achieve and how many times a week they can train. So if a person can train 3 times a week, it would be pointless giving them a 5-day split. So you still need to think about what are the person's goals and what can they do when you're looking at giving them a split routine. So if we were looking at a 2-day split, we still have our rule that the number of compound push exercises needs to equal the number of compound pull exercises. That's down to not just the exercises, but the sets and reps. When we're looking at isolation exercises, the isolation push exercises, the exercises, the sets and the reps, need to be the same number as the isolation pull exercises. So if I'm going to give you 3 dumbbell flies, I need to find 3 isolated pulling exercises that will match that, such as a prone fly. If I'm going to give you a compound chest exercise, such as a dip, then I need to give you a compound back exercise, such as a chin-up or a lat pull-down. We want to focus on balancing our programs. So here's an example of a 2-day split where on day 1 we do the legs, the back and the biceps, and on day 2 we're doing the shoulders, the chest, the shoulders and the triceps. Another way we could break this up would be push and pull. We could do anterior body, posterior body or upper body, lower body. These are all different ways in which we can break the body up. So in our upper and lower split we have day 1, the lower body, where we've got legs, followed by abdominals. On day 2 we have pull and push. You'll notice here, this balances off with here, the legs balance itself. We have 1, 2, 3 compound back, 1, 2, 3 compound chest, then we have an isolated back and an isolated chest. Now some people may say, but there's no arms or shoulders in this workout. You'll remember in a compound back exercise, we're not only using our back, but we're using our biceps and our posterior shoulder. In a compound chest exercise, we're also using our triceps and our anterior shoulder. So if the person doesn't have a lot of time, you don't necessarily need to program these smaller muscles such as the arms and the shoulders. You can actually get them still working really hard in these compound exercises. However, if the person wants to actually focus on doing their arms, then you could do a 2-day split like this where the person does leg, back and biceps on day 1 and then they do chest, shoulder and triceps on day 2. So you can see here they have their leg exercises, then they have their back exercises and their arms with the shoulder, and then we have our chest, shoulder and arms and then abdominals here. So is this program balanced? I'll just go through this so you can see how I focus on working this out. I have 2 compound leg, 1 isolated curl, 1 isolated extension, so they're balanced. I have 1, 2 compound back pull exercises. I have 1, 2 compound push exercises. I have an isolated back pull, an isolated push. I have a shoulder push and a shoulder pull. I then have thrown in lateral sidearm raises, which the medial deltoid has no muscle to balance it off with an agonist-antagonist balance, so we don't need to worry about balancing this out. We have 1, 2 tricep exercises here and 2 bicep exercises here. We have a crunch and back extension, hence this program is a balanced program. Once we've got to that stage, then we need to look at how many sets are we going to get the clients to do and what is their goal? Is it strength, growth, toning, endurance? And then we pick the reps in relation to what their goal is. How many times a week you get the person to do this? Well, potentially on a 2-day split, you'd want them doing each cycle probably twice a week, depending on the intensity and how sore they're pulling up and what else they're doing during the week. So if the person's doing, say, for example, a class and they may do, say, outdoor kayaking, then potentially you'd only get them to do each split once a week. However, if they're not doing anything else other than weights, they're your typical gym junkie, I want to lift weights type client, then you would give them this twice a week. Let's change this to a 2-day split super maximal workout. So day 1, we've got our superset, we have our pre-fatigue, we have our drop set, and then we have our negatives. Super maximal techniques, same sort of workout, same type of exercises, but what we're really focusing on here is actually bringing in these supersets and these pre-fatigue to increase that intensity. On day 2, again, we have the super maximal techniques with a superset, pre-fatigue and drop set all coming in. You'll notice that the program will still be balanced. Okay, we've still got a balance here, we've got a balance here, 2 back, 1 isolated back and shoulder. On our second day, we have 2 compound push exercises, chest here, which will balance off our 2 compound back exercises here. We have our shoulder exercise here, which balances out our shoulder exercise here. Then we have our isolated chest exercise, which balances out our isolated back exercise. We have 2 biceps and we have 2 triceps. So even though we're using different techniques in the way of intensity, we still have a balanced program here. And that's really important because when we're giving the person a gym program, we don't want to develop any imbalances in their body. So we have to always have a balanced program. This is an example of how we can actually break up this program. We might decide that they're going to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday. So hence they have day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. We could do it like this or like this. How you break this up is entirely up to you or the person that's training and the days of the week of which they can train. What you don't want to do is you don't want to have day 1 immediately after each other. You want to at least try and have 2 days in between each workout, especially if you're going to have this higher intensity type training technique. A person's recovery will become more efficient the longer they train. And that's something that's really important to remember, is the longer they train, the more efficient their recovery will be. Their recovery will also be determined by how good their nutrition is. So the better their nutrition is, then the quicker the recovery will be. So you can do a 3-day split. We have exactly the same rules. You want to have this balance between push and pull, both isolated and compound, and you need at least 48 hours in between the same muscles working before we work them again. So here we've got day 1 is back and biceps, day 2 is legs and abs, day 3 chest, shoulders and tries. We could do upper body pull, lower body push, upper body push. It's entirely up to you how you break it up. Here's one example, back and biceps. There's our back day. Here's our leg and ab day. And here's our chest and shoulder day. I would always break up back and biceps and have my posterior shoulders in with my back and my anterior shoulders in with my chest. Okay, you can have shoulder days if you like, but then you need to consider whether the shoulders are still fatigued from the back and the chest days. If we were doing this program, you could break that over the week where you have day 1, 2 and 3, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or you could do it through the 6 days of the week. The other way to break this up would be to actually look at doing this over a longer period of time. So rather than having it over 1 week, you could actually have it over 2 or 3 weeks. So you see here every second day they're doing a workout where they do day 1, day 2, day 3, day 1, day 2, day 3. It's important that you do put that time in between recovery, but not too long a time, because we still want to hit the person in that super compensation phase rather than hitting them when they've actually plateaued out of it. You can do 5-day splits. These splits tend to be used by bodybuilders when they're moving more into competition, where they're starting to want to train every day to get the metabolic effects on the body. Okay, it's certainly not something that I would recommend people do for massive growth. I think if you want, when you're doing your growth phases or your strength phases, you really want to focus on having a 3-day split or a 2-day split. But certainly bringing in endurance and starting to taper off where you're wanting to train every day and get that metabolic effect every day from your training, a 5-day split is ideal. Again, it needs to be balanced. And as you can see here, we've got day 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The problem here in a 5-day split is you may find that how hard you're working your chest here is that you're not necessarily going to be working it hard enough to warrant a 5 or 6 day recovery. So what some people may do here is they may split their program into AM and PM, where you might work chest here on day 1 in the morning and then chest here on day 4 in the afternoon. But this really is a more advanced program for someone who can go to the gym, 5, 6, 7, 10 times a week. Here we have our split, or an example of a split. You've got your legs and abdominal day, you've got your shoulder day, then you've got your back day. You'll notice here in my shoulder day I have all my shoulders, then I have my back day, then I've got my chest, my arms, and then you go back and you do legs again. Here's an example of how that split works over a week. How you break that up is dependent on the person. Some people may not want to train on a Sunday. They may not want to train on a Monday because the gym's busy. It's entirely up to the individual. The big thing about programming this sort of program is ensuring you have adequate recovery in between each day to allow the person to do the next day. So here, if I'm doing, say for example, a really heavy leg day and we're doing deadlifts where we're lifting a couple of 100 kilos, your back and your shoulders may be fatigued from doing that, holding the weight there in your deadlifts. Then you go into your shoulder day and your shoulders and your arms are already fatigued from day 1. Although we haven't focused on using them, they could still be fatigued. We then go and work our shoulders, and then on day 3, we're hitting our posterior deltoid and these stabilizing muscles of the shoulder again. So what's happened on each of these days is our stabilizing muscles that stabilize the shoulder are copying a caning, and potentially over a prolonged period of time, this could lead to an injury of a small rotator cuff or tendonitis in the shoulder or in the arms. So you do need to be aware of that. With a 5-day split, you always want to try and get the person to take a couple of days off every couple of weeks so that way they give the body time to recover. Most importantly, with any 5-day split, the person has to be switched on with their eating, and potentially you may want to have a look making sure they're supplementing. Now, advanced programming is really open for your interpretation. Once the person is classified as an advanced program, how you put the program together is entirely up to you. There's no reason why you can't have the person on a full body program where they're training that 2 or 3 times a week, and then you take them into your super maximal ways of training using your super maximal methods. You don't need to split the body up just because they're an advanced person, but if you choose to split the body up, my suggestion would be you want to look at 2-day splits and 3-day splits first before you go more to the advanced 5-day splits. Have a look at your revision sheet, have a go at writing some programs. If you have any questions, just send us an email and we'll be more than happy to help you answer any questions you may have on advanced programming. Thanks a lot.